Welcome to this little introduction to an introduction. This video after this little introduction video is an introduction to a course that's going up on Storygeeks.com called Logline Mastery. And I'm not going to get into all the details here. I'll do it on that video, but I wanted to give you a little bit of context, and that when you see this, it may already be launched, which is great because then you can go to Storygeeks.com and just buy the class. If it's not, you can go to storygeeks.com and get on the wait list. So one of those two options should be live when you go and check this out, if you decide you'd like to check this out. But this video is an introduction to an entire class that is self-driven, that you can learn the basics of what a log line is if you're a novelist or a memoirist. Screenwriters can do this too, but screenwriters are more familiar with the term. It's more of an endemic kind of thing to the screenwriting world. Not so much for novelists and memoirists or creative nonfiction writers. People might knock the term around, but they don't really define it. And there's no great guidance out there for prose writers about how to build a log line, which you absolutely critically must have if you're going to sell your query to an agent or an editor or a lit manager or whoever. Log lines are an essential pitching tool. You've got to have it. You've got to have it along with a couple of other deliverables. Log lines are essential to have for your query letter. So this is an introductory video to the introduction welcome video for that class. And I just wanted to give you a little context about where this is coming from and the importance of it as a topic. It is really a critical thing. Even if you're self-publishing, you got to have this thing. And this class will really help you nail that process. Okay, so I'll see you in the other video. Welcome to Logline Mastery for novelists and memoirists, even if you're a screenwriter. This is not just for memoirists and novelists. Screenwriters can benefit from this too, but the target market for this class is really prose fiction writers. I'm Jeff Lyons, your instructor, and if you're taking this class, it's because you feel you're in a position to start writing your logline. Or maybe you don't even know what a logline is, or you heard the term, but you know it's for pitching, et cetera, but you don't really have a strategy for how you build one. You've been on Google, you've been on ChatGPT, you've been all over the place looking for how you do a logline. Goodness knows there's a billion resources out there about how to do loglines, what a logline is, et cetera. We're going to cover a lot of that in this class. And what you're going to learn, though, in this class is the Storygeeks approach to how you build a logline and what a logline is for, why you need one. And we're going to give you the resources you need to actually do this on your own in a self-paced way. There's no gun to your head here. Once you purchase the class, it's always in your library, and you can go back and take this and review it and work the worksheets and all of that as many times as you need. But this is a very much a hands-on nuts and bolts explanation about the logline development process and some theoretical ideas about what a logline is and what a logline isn't, and a bit of a compare and contrast with what's out there in the consensus creative writing world about what people think a logline is. It's important to know going in, though, that the direction that this class takes is based on real world stuff, not just my subjective reinvention or invention of the idea of the logline. I have listened to and talked to many book agents and literary managers and book publishing editors, and not to mention producers and screenwriters and television and film, to talk about how they all approach and what their requirements are for this thing called a logline. They may not call it a log line. They may just call it a pitch line or something else, but that's what we're dealing with here. So what you're going to see in this class is real world feedback from the publishing world about the requirements required to get the job done, to get a log line written, where you use it, how you use it, and so on. Okay. That's what you're going to learn how to do here. And again, if you're taking this class and you bought it and you're here listening to this welcome video, you feel you're in a position to start doing this logline thing. Maybe you are. Maybe you aren't. That's part of what this class is going to be about as well. We're going to do a little bit of self-assessment and talk about what the pieces are in terms of story development that you need to have in place in order to be successful with a logline, so that you're not just jumping into it, feet first, hoping, cross your fingers and toes that you're going to be able to pull it off. No, we're going to give you the nuts and the bolts of what you have to do to get a log line written, and then what you have to do nuts and bolts to get it rewritten many, many times. to get 35 to 55 words or however many words work for you to get that line done. Okay. So what you get in this class is 5 modules, and an extra bonus section, and about 2 to 3 hours of video instruction, tons of resources, resource documents, reference documents that you can use to research things and to just learn the tools of the trade, so to speak, and worksheets. Anybody who knows the work that I do in premise and Enneagram story connection and subplots and mushy middle and all those things knows that I'm worksheet crazy. I do all worksheets. And you'll see that those worksheets are very, very fine-tuned to get you from A to B, and not in just busy work, but in actual productivity. So worksheets work. And I know that because I've been using them for years with thousands and thousands of writers, and those writers make progress. So I know the worksheet approach is a very effective one. That's what we're going to use in this class. So 5 modules, 2 to 3 hours of video instruction. There's actually going to be a lot more video than that because the bonus section includes live sessions with writers working on their log lines with me one-on-one. Some of those videos go 50, 60 or more minutes. So there's really 3, 4, 5 hours worth of video in this class that you're going to get. The bonus sections are going to be something that's going to grow over time as well. So I'm going to keep adding new sessions in there as I come up with different writers who have unique approaches or problems that they're facing in their logline development that will benefit you watching them go through the difficulty of those particular problems. So it's not just, extra video I'm throwing in there for the heck of it. No, they illustrate problems. They illustrate approaches and story issues that you're probably going to look at and experience doing your own work. So the bonus section is actually extra learning. So how you're going to work through this is very flexible. You just go with the flow. You can dive in anywhere you want, but I suggest you take a very linear approach and go through each of the modules one after the other. Once you've been through the class once, you can always go back and do it multiple times. And then you can really cherry pick the pieces of the process that you really want to focus on, reviewing more videos or reviewing any new bonus material that gets added in. But this, again, is going to be in your library, so you can go back to this well over and over and over again. You're not going to be writing log lines every week. You're going to be writing log lines after you've been through a whole bunch of development. Your book or your memoir is pretty much done, and you're going to start gearing up for the pitching process to sell your work to a third party. That's when you're going to be doing the logline work. So this will always be there for you to go back and review. Okay, in 6 months or even a year, it'll be there for you to start refreshing your experience with the class. Because, like I said, you're not going to be doing this a lot. You're going to be doing this at some regular basis, hopefully, if you're churning out enough books. If you're a screenwriter, you're going to be doing a lot more of these, of course, because screenwriters just live and breathe by the logline, right? Producers live and breathe by the logline. But as a novelist or a memoirist, it can be years between books, right? So you've got the flexibility here with this class. There is a section here called prep work. And if you go down to the description section for this first welcome video module, you'll see a description of the films that I use in the class. I use these same 3 films or 4 films. Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise is one I added to the list. And I suggest you go back and you watch these movies because they are extremely instructive. And I use them in all the example worksheets in this class and in all my other classes. So there's consistency throughout all the classes with all the worksheets using the same examples from film. And I use film because it's more likely that people have seen these movies than have read the books. So film gets the job done really nicely. And I'm a screenwriter, so it's only natural that I would do that. So do the prep work. Take the time to go watch these movies, get familiar with the story structure elements. And then when we go over those films in our example worksheets, you're going to, now I see what Jeff Lyons is talking about here. Okay, I get it. So that's the reason for doing the prep work. And you can do it anytime you want, but I would suggest you do it at the beginning of the class so that you're going into it already with those films in your subconscious. Probably you've seen most of them already, so that's you'll be okay. But Lilies of the Field, which is a 1963 black and white movie with Sidney Poitier, probably not. That's an old movie. It's a great one. A great example of lots of different things. But the other ones you probably seen. Okay, so that's your introduction and that's your welcome. So what I suggest now is gird your loins and get ready to dive in and do the work at your leisure. There's, like I said, no gun to your head here. Learn it, learn it, learn it. Go through it a couple, 3 times before you do anything. Find some methodology that works for you that's going to help you retain the information, knowing you can always come back and redo months or a year or more down the line. Okay? So thank you for participating and joining in. I think it's going to be very instructive, and I will see you in the next module.